What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J here. What's going on, everyone? I hope we are all doing extremely well. We got quite a bit of news to talk about in today's stream. Officially, Game 1 and Game 2 of the World Series is in the books. We have Game 1 and Game 2 wrapped up. Yesterday was an off day for both MLB teams. It was a travel day. And today we are back for Game 3 of the World Series tonight going in Atlanta. This is going to be a great matchup. Really excited for it. But what's going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J here. I hope we are all doing extremely well. Please, everyone, before we get started into today's stream, which I am going to be going over Games 1 and 2 summary, as well as tonight's game, Game 3, I will be going over a preview. Everything with the lineups, what's to be expected, all of that great stuff. And, of course, I will be going over all of your guys' comments, questions, and concerns that you guys have in the comment section below. So let's stop wasting any time and let's just, dive right into it. But before we dive right into everything, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, all of that great stuff, because you know what? Baseball is awesome. Yeah, DJ, I know. It's no shave November, so, it's coming up. So I figured I'd get a little started. Yeah, it's not really much. But, yeah, that's interesting you noticed that. Otherwise, Mets Talk with Aiden here. Let's get right into it. We are going to be going over the summary of Game 1 and Game 2. So let's stop wasting any time and let's get right into it. And then, of course, I will be going over all of your guys' comments, questions, and concerns. So to kick things off, let's get into it. So we saw Game 1. Quite a bit of stuff happened in Game 1, which was Game 1 of this World Series, which took place on Tuesday. The Atlanta Braves took Game 1 of this series. They upset the Astros in Game 1. We could see Game 1, which was Tuesday. The Atlanta Braves won 6-2. It was a great game. Low offense from the Houston Astros, but a lot of offense from the Atlanta Braves. Braves, they were doing pretty good. We had Charlie Morton on the bump for the Atlanta Braves. 2.1 innings pitched, surrendered 1 hit, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. We saw his curveball was on point. It was on fleek. It was tapping the end of the strike zone. He was getting the batters to be rung up. He was working with it. He was limiting those barrels, a guy who really prevents the long ball for most of the season. We have really not seen Charlie Morton give up many home runs. Sorry about that. We've really never seen Charlie Morton give up a whole lot of home runs this season. So really, honestly, good for him. Good for Charlie Morton. He's a guy who really does avoid the long ball, and he's been great at it. Like I said, he limits the barrels. Unfortunately, in the 3rd inning, he had a comebacker hit him in the leg, and unfortunately, it broke his leg or it worsened it. Something was going on with it. So he, unfortunately, will be missing the rest of this postseason series. It's going to suck. Following that, the bullpen came in very stable. The bullpen was pretty adequate, really no complaints. You had your lefties going, Minter, Jackson, Matzik, and Smith. Surrendered only 2 runs, so that's really good. That's what you like to see in your bullpen. So that was the Braves pitching. Following that, in the 1st inning, Jorge Solaire had a solo home run to wake up things. That was the first home run in the World Series by a leadoff man. Pretty interesting to think of. Jorge Solaire, who was absent, he was on leave for quite a bit, for I think 2 months or so. So good to see him back in action with the Braves when it mattered most. Following that, Austin Riley later that inning had an RBI double to drive in 1. And then later on in the 2nd inning, Jorge Solaire had a ground out RBI, drive in a run. Going into the 3rd inning, Adam Duvall had a 2-run homer. And then going into the 8th inning, Freddie Freeman had a sac fly RBI. So we could see the Braves put up 6 runs this game. Getting into the Houston Astros, what were the Astros capable of? Well, the Astros, their offense was pretty quiet for the most part. It was unfortunate to see, but the Astros were pretty quiet. Framber Valdez was on the bump for the Houston Astros. Did not go very long. Only two innings pitched, surrendered eight hits, 5 runs, a walk, 2 strikeouts. We could see this Braves lineup pretty much disowned the Astros. He did get lucky with the shift. Obviously, you had Altuve and Correa, kind of shift on the right side. So he was saved quite a bit by that. But 8 hits and 5 runs in 2 innings pitched. I mean, imagine without the shift, those stats could have been much more inflated. He got barreled quite a bit. He was transpiring between the hard contact and the light contact, little dribblers down the foul lines, which stuck in fair. And then, of course, some of the Braves offensive batters were able to rip some balls down the line. So it sucks to see, but that's how baseball works. And like I said, they were able to beat the shift. So that was one big thing. And we've been seeing a lot of that this postseason. And, analytics, Tampa Bay Rays were in the World Series. Well, we'd probably be seeing quite a bit of that. Following that, the bullpen was pretty stable for the most part. Obviously, Dusty Baker was very responsible what to do with his bullpen, and good for him on that. Garcia, Odorizzi, and Stanek all came in and only surrendered 1 run. So good to see. And then in the 4th inning, McCormick had an RBI ground out. And then in the 8th inning, Correa had an RBI ground out. So the offense, you got 2 runs, but they were cheap Mets runs in my opinion. But you know what? It's a run. It's a run. But it was a cheap run for the most part. So that was game 1. Braves won 6-2. They had the advantage. They were going into game 2 with some wiggle room. Motions were annoyed. Obviously, you lost Charlie Morton, as stated, so that really does suck to see. But yeah, otherwise, they were going in with high emotions, high ambitions into game 2, which was Wednesday's game. And the Astros got their revenge, and they won this game on Wednesday, 7-2 with the score. 7-2. We had Max Fried on the bump for the Atlanta Braves. 5 innings pitched, surrendered 7 hits, 6 earned runs, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. We saw Max Fried started off this game pretty solidly. The first 2 innings were pretty clean. He got out unscathed, but unfortunately, he struggled a little bit. We saw his curveball didn't dip necessarily too great. I'm not sure what the drop was in inches, but it didn't get the job done. We saw the lineup wasn't chasing a lot of selective hitting from the Astros, which is a big reason on why this is a great offense. They really are selective at hitting, and they choose the pitches to swing at responsibly. We saw a lot of contact results out of Max Fried. So he went 5 innings pitched, not bad. Following that, you had Lee Chavez, who was making his debut in 15 years. Good for him. Smiley, and of course Wright. Only 1 earned run out of those 4 guys. Pretty good to see. And in terms of this Brave offense this game, we had Travis d'Arnaud lead it off in the 2nd inning with a moonshot solo home run, connected ball to bat contact there, got a nice barrel, ripped that one to left field, brings back PTSD memories from 2015 with the Mets, but, has to happen. And then in the 5th inning, Freddie Freeman had an RBI single the other way. Good to see Freddie Freeman hitting. That was the Braves. In game 2, getting into the Astros, we had Jose Urquidy on the bump for the Houston Astros. Definitely a completely underrated guy, in my opinion. Looking at Jose Urquidy, only 5 innings pitched, surrendered 6 hits, 2 runs, 0 walks, and of course, 7 strikeouts. Good to see Jose Urquidy, a guy who is completely underrated, really get into some action. He kept command of the strike zone. That is something extremely important that really any pitcher would like to do. His 4-seam fastball was really on sync with the slider. He had the nice combination there working. And overall, he's a guy who is completely underrated, in my opinion. I feel he's a guy who really is undervalued and really needs to get more attention in Major League Baseball. He has a lot of postseason experience for only pitching this amount of time. Following that, Dusty Baker mixed around his bullpen. Christian Javier came in, Maton, Presley, and of course Graveman. Lights out. The bullpen was pretty solid. No complaints. Didn't give up a run. Only 2 hits. Solid to see. So the pitching, they were able to shut down the Braves offense. In terms of the Astros offense, we saw their offense was a little weak at first, but then they really blew up in the 2nd inning and kind of destroyed analytics for the most part. In the first inning, to put the first one on the board, Alex Bregman had an RBI sac fly to deep center field to bring Correa. In the second inning, Jose Siri, great to see the guy that no one really knows much about, get into some action in the World Series. He had an RBI single to break open this game. Following that, set up the domino effect. Maldonado had an RBI single, and then Michael Brantley had an RBI single the other way. Michael Brantley has been a guy who's been having a good World Series so far, 5 hits. So don't be surprised if the Astros win this World Series. He could definitely get some votes. I would not be very surprised. In the sixth inning, Gurriel had an RBI ground out, and then once again in the seventh inning, Jose Altuve hit a home run. I think it was his 22nd or something of his postseason career, which I think is tied for Derek Jeter and second for second baseman out there. So really, really good to see out of these guys. They're getting into some action. Marvelous to see. Obviously, if you're an Astros fan, this is good to see out of you. And yeah, overall, that is really all there is to say about that. So yeah, that is game 1 and game 2 of this series. We saw the Atlanta Braves were able to wake up in game 1, and then of course in game 2, the Astros were able to wake up. So we kind of saw similar patterns in the score and hits, but obviously in one of these games, the Astros had the board, and then in the other game, the Atlanta Braves had the board. So really, really good to see. So now let's get into tonight's game. Tonight's game is at 8:09 on Fox. So we're going to see how that goes. But let's get into tonight's game. Quickly getting into tonight's game, it is game 3 of this series. Game 3. Off day was yesterday. We know that. They are back in Atlanta. The Atlanta Braves are 5-0 at Truist Park, I believe is the name. So we will see. Can they keep that streak alive? It'll be difficult. They're going to have to sweep these 3 games in order. We'll see. But getting into game 3, the preview, it is tonight, Friday at 8:09 p.m. We will have Garcia on the bump for the Houston Astros. Obviously, Garcia is a guy who has been pretty adequate enough in his postseason. He got really destroyed his last outing, which really raised his ERA, FIP, all those pitching stats. But we could see his postseason career stats in 4 games. He has a 1-1 record, just about an 8 ERA and 13 strikeouts. We do know he does have an established nice 4-seamer, which is pretty solid for the most part. It looks like it has a nice dip to it. Nice cutter. He limits foul balls off, so you're not really going to see many foul balls. A lot of balls are going to be put in play, more so up the gap rather than balls down the line. And then he has low velocity, so those are one of my rules of hitting. Low velocity. It could be complex to get a lot of hard contact on it. Also in Garcia, we could say he was outstanding in Game 6 of this ALCS, only allowing 0 earned runs and 1 hit in 5.2 innings pitched. So really good to see out of Garcia. But the question is, can the offense stay hot? Can they stay hot? Right now, this team is beating the shift. They are striking out less. They're really, really having selective hitting, kind of like a Brandon Nimmo to an extent. They're watching what pitches to swing at, and it's really good. I think selective hitting really helps you out in the playoffs, and it makes you a World Series contending team. Altuve, Alvarez, Bregman, Correa, Brantley, they're hitting well. That is what you like to see. One topic I do want to address is, obviously, tonight's game is at Truist Park, a National League ballpark. The Houston Astros are an American League team. They have the DH. That's established. We know that. So I think the question is, there's no DH. So who do you take out of this lineup? What bat do you take out of this lineup? And obviously the DH is Alvarez. So the question is, do you put him in right field and then do you bench Michael Brantley? Right now, both of these guys are having great at-bats. You know, it's when you look at Alvarez, he's capable of playing left field. It's kind of like the New York Yankees with Carlos Stanton. It's that leg knee injury, so you don't want to put him out there chasing the ball. Obviously, left field is where you put your least talented defender for the most part. In Truist Field, the left field wall isn't really that far, so it's not like he's gonna have to do anything crazy in terms of running unless he's coming in. So with questions, you know, do you want to take out Brantley and put in Alvarez? The defensive point, I honestly think their defense is to an extent the same. It's just the offense. What production are we going to get? Are we going to get some nice contact from Brantley or some nice power from Alvarez? What's the call on that? So that's the Astros for tonight. Getting into the Astros lineup, we could see the Astros got some stuff going on for them tonight. Batting first, let's get into the Astros lineup. Batting first for the Houston Astros, we have Jose Altuve, the second baseman, leading off in this World Series game. He is a dude who has been raking. He is a great leadoff hitter. Batting second, we saw what happened. They're taking out the original center fielder, and they will be shifting Michael Brantley in right field. He will be batting second. Good to see. Michael Brantley has been having a nice hot spree lately. Good to see out of Michael Brantley. 5 hits this World Series game so far. You'd like to see if he could keep this up. Kenny, we will see. Batting third for the Houston Astros, playing third base, we will have Alex Bregman. Batting fourth, we will have the left fielder, not the designated hitter, but the left fielder, Yordan Alvarez. Batting fifth, the shortstop, the guy who has a lot of eyes on him right now, and he's going to be becoming very, very relevant these next couple of days, Carlos Correa. Batting seventh, the first baseman, Yuli Gurriel. Batting eighth, behind the plate, Martin Maldonado. I'm just going to say Martin Maldonado is completely underrated. I mean, the respect this dude needs to deserve. I mean, the dude's framing is there. He has a cannon of an arm. Okay, I don't care about his bat because you're an American League team and you have the DH, so I don't really care. This dude has been amazing. And then, of course, he will be batting tonight, Luis Garcia, who will be on the bump and, of course, taking some reps inside the batter's box. So we will see. Can Garcia maybe he'll hit a home run. If he hits a home run, I don't know. That'd probably be pretty complex to do, especially in the World Series. So that is the Astros for tonight. Getting into the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves got a lot of stuff going on for them. We have Ian Anderson on the bump for the Atlanta Braves. As we know, Ian Anderson is a guy who, seriously, is very postseason prone. Yeah, it's only 3 seasons, but still, as we could see in his postseason starts, he is 3-0 with a 1.47 ERA and 36 strikeouts. Pretty adequate, in my opinion. And those are his postseason career stats in only 7 games. So listen, it's 7 games. It's a smaller sample size, but those are some pretty good numbers, if you ask me. Yeah. Otherwise, only really things to say on Ian Anderson is try and have the sinker drop a bit more. He has the nice curveball for his put-away pitch on the 0-2 count, or if he gets into a jam. Average velocity for his fastball, 95, 96, maybe a little bit below average in my opinion. But solid overall, really no complaints about him. Getting into the offense for the Atlanta Braves. We could see their offense is something else also. Eddie Rosario has been having a .426 batting average this postseason. But in the World Series, he's been a little disappointing to an extent. As we could see, he is 2-9 this World Series. Hopefully he could wake up. In terms of the offense for the Braves, for most of it, they are hitting for some power, really hitting for some power. We've seen a lot of barrels, a lot of balls click, go out of the ballpark, seeing home runs from guys who aren't very well known for hitting home runs, whether that's Travis Darnell, Jorge Solaire, Eddie Rosario. So good to see. A lot of long balls. And, of course, Solaire is back in this lineup, and it seems to be helpful. And speaking of the lineup, let's get right into the lineup. As we can see, batting first for the Atlanta Braves, we will have Eddie Rosario, the dude who, like I said, has been struggling. He has been struggling. 2-9 this World Series, so he will be playing in left field. We will see what could he get done. Batting second at the first baseman, Freddie Freeman. Batting third, the second baseman, Ozzie Albies. Batting fourth, my apologies, the third baseman, Austin Riley. Batting fifth, Jorge Solaire, the right fielder. Batting sixth, the center fielder, Adam Duvall. Batting seventh, the catcher, Travis d'Arnaud. Batting eighth, the shortstop, Dansby Swanson. And of course, batting ninth, and also behind the bump tonight, Ian Anderson. One thing you do notice in this lineup tonight is that you do not have Jock Peterson in this lineup, and instead you put in Jorge Solaire. So pretty interesting to see that you get out Jock Peterson in this lineup and you put in Solaire instead. I'm guessing Sinker's trait to think here was, do you go for a guy who's been hitting well, or do you go for a guy who has been hitting well, but then on the other hand, in this World Series matchup, not so much. So something that a lot of managers have to make that choice. So that is going to be something we are going to see. Otherwise, the Braves, Astros tonight, like I said, Ian Anderson will be on the bump. Anderson will be given the chance to complete 5 innings in just his third playoff start this season, something you don't see a whole lot. So we will see, can he get that done? They could go to this bullpen. We will see. I mean, do you really give this Braves bullpen a rest tonight? And then do you really try to rely on the bullpen in Game 4 and Game 5 and so on and so forth? So we will see. Ian Anderson was really pushed a lot in the NLCS against the Dodgers, and it worked. But listen, this is the World Series. There's no more having trust in your players. That's how it goes. You see a lot of managers say, we trust our players. I'm a Mets fan. All Luis Rojas said was, trust your players. I have trust in my pitchers. If it's April, May, that's fine. But, once you're coming down to wrapping up the regular season or yet the postseason, that's when you really got to start making decisions with no trust. We saw famous examples of that last year with the Tampa Bay Rays. Kevin Cash took out Blake Snell, or 2015 when Terry Collins let in Matt Harvey, and we don't need to go over what happened, but that was pretty rough. That is what we are going to see. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting game. I'm excited for it. Otherwise, we're just going to have to see how does this go. It's going to be a great game. I'm excited for it. Otherwise, that is really it. Astros, Braves tonight, first pitch, 8:09 Eastern Standard Time on Fox, Game 3 of this World Series matchup. I am excited. It'll be at Truist Park, so the Astros will be away. The Atlanta Braves will be home. Good to see the Braves fans be able to show up to their team's ballpark and be able to watch them play in a World Series for the first time in quite a while. Otherwise, I think it's going to be something for them. Good for the Braves fans. Like I said, they've really had quite a long and stressful, and then a nice easy rest of the season in the second half. So that's really what you like to see all Major League Baseball teams do. So let's stop wasting any time and let's get into your guys' comments. So of course, if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to drop them below. Of course, I will be getting into them. I will be getting into them. So, of course, if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, drop below. I would like them to be World Series based, but if, you want to keep it Mets, Dodgers based, whatever you want to keep it, I have no problem with that. So, like I said, before we get into that, everyone, if you can, turn on those post notifications. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already. And otherwise, we got a lot of good stuff coming ahead. World Series, I am excited. But what is going on, everyone? Let's get into your guys' comments. Trey, what's going on, man? I appreciate you tuning in. What's going on, dog? Gio, appreciate you tuning in regular on the channel. And Gio is currently in the airport, and he is flying from New York to Nebraska. Well, that's a trip. I hope you enjoy that. I've never been to Nebraska. But hopefully you enjoy it. I don't know what you're doing out there, but hopefully you have a good time. You're going to miss tonight's game. Well, you know what? Hopefully you can catch some of it on your phone, or, I don't know what aircraft you're flying on. Sometimes they have TV on there. Maybe you can catch some of it Otherwise, I mean, watch them pitch like a no-hitter or something. That'd be crazy. But yeah, good luck. DJ, what's going on? Good to see you here. What's going on? Trey, what's going on? Kobe, YouTube Productions. Michael, Martin, what's going on? Martin is rooting for the Braves. All right. Mr. Cool, what's going on? The Class Clown, what's going on? Kobe, I'm doing well, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Michael says, Bob Melvin is going to manage the Padres. I wonder why he didn't want to come to the Mets. So I was that's interesting you bring that up, Michael, because I thought the same thing. We saw the Oakland Athletics extended Bob Melvin. We saw this. I want to say it was around August, September. The Oakland Athletics and the New York Mets, the Oakland Athletics and Bob Melvin established a contract together. They said that he would be returning for the 2022 season. So that was concrete. And then just yesterday, out of surprise, we know the San Diego Padres fired Chase Tingler, but we didn't expect the guy to be Bob Melvin. We didn't. We expected it to be, I don't know, maybe like Mike Schilt, or honestly, Mike Schilt was my number one choice. This is a team that is growing. And yeah, this is, like I said, just a team overall that is growing, and they really need a guy in there who knows what he is doing. I question, is Bob Melvin the best candidate? I guess it depends who you ask for. I think you have two different types of personalities. You have your more younger squad, and then you have your more older who relies on analytics. But I don't know. It's tough. We're going to have to see how it pans out. But otherwise, I think it's a solid move so far. Why did he leave and not want to come to the Mets? Be honest with you, I just don't think they wanted to work with Sandy Alderson. I think he worked with Sandy before. And yeah, I mean, no one wants to work with Sandy Alderson. Yeah, otherwise, I think that's really it, and it sucks. I see the beard growing. Yeah, I know. I have a little, I don't know if you want to call it like a 5 o'clock shadow or something, but I got a little something working here. The Class Clown says you should do a setup tour. Yeah, I actually am hoping on doing that. I definitely want to show off a lot of my baseball memorabilia collection. I know I have all my stuff behind me. I definitely am going to do that this offseason. Maybe I'll do a hat collection, a jersey collection tour, and of course all the stuff on my back. So do not be worried, guys. I will be doing that very soon. LOL. Trey says each Braves hitter in the starting lineup has at least one hit. First time in a World Series game since 2014, Game 6. Really, that is an interesting fact. I did not even know that. Okay. Interesting. Cool fact, Trey. I appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah, I did not know. That's interesting. Trying to think who's in the lineup. Yeah. Really interesting fact. Yeah. See, you could be our fact guy. I like that. Karen, what's going on? Karen says, hey, Hayden, let's go Mets. Absolutely. Cannot complain about that. Kobe says, tough to see Charlie Morton have to miss the rest of the World Series. Respect, though, for getting out the next 3 guys with the broken leg. Yeah, I agree with you, man. That's probably not super easy to do. So I do not blame you on that. Karen's going to agree with Kobe. Says he had a great. Yeah, he did. Ivan Dos, what's going on? Mark Sears says it's mind-boggling that Altuve, a man who is 5'6", can hit with so much power. It is, man. Trust me, it is. That's what makes baseball great. There's a lot of science involved. It's a crazy game. Okay. What's going on, AB? Appreciate you tuning in. Devin says, I have the Astros in 5. The Braves losing Morton is going to hurt them. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I don't think it's going to completely be the deciding factor, but, now it's going to put more pressure on Max Fried, who has been struggling so far this postseason to an extent. Well, more so the World Series, and, of course, it's going to put a huge bullpen tax on them. This is a team that really, really was relying on their left-handers in the bullpen, and they're going to have to work more because of it. So we're going to see how does Brian Sitker go to handle this. Does he? I mean, that's the thing. It's the World Series. You cannot, leave a guy out there an extra inning more. Say, okay, well, let whoever's on the mound try to get this batter out. It doesn't work like that. You cannot have trust in your pitchers in the World Series, and that's the one thing. Like I stated, as a Mets fan, you cannot have trust in your pitchers. It's either they get the job done or they don't get the job done, and If they don't, well, then they get taken out. That is how baseball works. Not so much in not so much looking. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It really is. So, I mean, we're going to see how that goes. Obviously, Snitker, he's going to have to really look into his pitchers and see who is there to really go for. Michael, what's going on? Good to see you here as always. Like I said, I do appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream. But if you guys are new to the channel, hit that like button, turn on those post notifications, all of that great stuff. So yeah, we are going to see what goes on tonight. Game 3 of the World Series is tonight. I'm excited. DJ says Astros were pretty good in Game 2. Yeah, for the most part, the Astros really did have their stuff on Wednesday. They did have their stuff on Wednesday. I agree with you, man. And Kobe is going to agree. He says facts. Alyssa, what's going on? Alyssa says, I'm really looking forward to your off-season free agent market videos. Well, I appreciate it, Alyssa. DJ says, I think the Astros are going to win the game 7-5 tonight. All right, it's a good prediction. Yeah, definitely. I definitely see this series really, really being high-scoring games, and I'm surprised that the scores have been 6-2, 7-2. I mean, I was really thinking, like 9-10, 10-8. I wasn't expecting it to be a high and low-scoring game. Karen says, don't really care who wins, but I like Dusty Baker. Yeah, Dusty Baker is how old? Dusty Baker is 72 years old. Yeah, that is crazy. He definitely deserves a ring. Nick says, don't forget Astros have Diaz and Marwin who can come in and hit and play solid defense. Yeah, of course, you need a bench mob. Absolutely, Nick. DJ says, if you're talking about the Astros, then yes, but the Braves would be probably inconsistent. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to, but I probably would agree. Good stream. I appreciate it. Karen, Kobe, Baseball is my air. What's going on? DJ says, it feels like Correa might go to Detroit. I don't know why, but I feel it. Yeah, I definitely see why you feel that. I think you have to look at it where AJ Hinch is currently in Detroit. And who is AJ Hinch's former player? And that is the one and only Carlos Correa. The Detroit Tigers really have something building there. I think it works. The Detroit Tigers pretty much have established that they're done being sellers at the deadline. Them and the Miami Marlins and a couple other, maybe just them and the Marlins are the two big teams that have been known to notoriously struggle that are officially done. Being sellers, and they want to start being buyers, and they want to start winning. And I don't blame them for that. I really don't. So, yeah, we'll see. If he hits a home run, we'll see, man. I don't know if I can make that promise. Martin says, when is Mike Soroka supposed to return? Yeah, so Mike Soroka, he, tore his Achilles back in 2020. And he was supposed to come back this season. He started some nice basic fundamental workouts, and I honestly don't even know what happened. I think he, hurt it or sprained it and felt some tightness, and then I don't really know what happened. Yeah, to be honest, I really don't know what happened. I think they sent him down for the off season. I really couldn't tell you, man. Baseball's Mayor says, tough week in the Mets world. I wonder why the Mets have yet to speak with Josh Burns yet. Yeah, honestly, I was wondering that too. Because, like we said, the Dodgers, well, with Josh Burns, the Mets are not going to speak with Josh Burns until the Dodgers are out of the postseason or win the World Series or whenever their season ends. And then, of course, Josh Burns and the Mets would connect. And that's been over for about a week now, 6 days maybe. So what comes to question is, well, why aren't they talking? And it comes to question is, the Mets, 10 million guys this week stated they don't want to come to the Mets. Everyone from GM opportunities to president of baseball operation. So, yeah, it's pretty unfortunate to see, and you really question why is that? Is it because of Sandy? And honestly, I know it's a cheap answer. I'm going to pull a Luis Rojas, and I'm just going to say I really don't know. I seriously have no idea why. I mean, the only really big things I could think of is they don't want to work with Sandy Alderson. It's New York. It's a much bigger market. So if you look at a lot of these guys from Milwaukee, Cleveland, Arizona, they're smaller markets. So it's literally part, no pun intended, but it's a whole different ball game. So, I don't know. We're going to have to see how that goes. Hopefully they can get something going. Yeah, I know Correa has been a pretty big guy. I've talked now, the players. We'll see. Trey Jefferson says, LOL. Trey Jefferson says, who would you say had a better trade deadline? The 2020 Braves or the 2015 Mets? That is a good question. I like that. Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. So we know the Braves. So we know. Okay, let's have a history lesson here. Quick history lesson. So the Mets 2015 trade deadline, we saw before this trade deadline for the Mets in 2015, offensively, this team was struggling. They weren't getting much production. And then what did they do? They got these guys, Uribe, Campbell, and of course, Cespedes was the big piece. And what did they do? They woke up in August, September, and they made the playoffs. So I'm guessing, obviously, Trey, your comparison is that, well, the Atlanta Braves, they were in dire need for outfielding. The Atlanta Braves, just like the 2015 Mets, before the trade deadline, they were not hitting. Whether it's hitting for home runs, hitting for power, hitting for contact, they were not really hitting, getting on base to an extent. Their pitching was okay. A lot of their pitchers were hurt. Ian Anderson was hurt, and then he came back, didn't pitch too well. Mike Soroka was out. Max Fried was, all over the place. Their bullpen was definitely questionable. And like I said, they weren't hitting. And what did they do? Ronald Acuna Jr. got hurt, and Marcell Ozuna took a leave of absence. That put a really big sting on the team. They needed outfield depth, and they needed offense and defense from an outfielder. So what did they do? They called Kansas City, got Solaire. They called Chicago, got Jock Peterson, and they called Cleveland, I think, to get Eddie Rosario. And they made it work, and they really didn't give up much. They gave up like Pablo Sandoval and a couple like 20th round prospects, something like that. So yeah, really goes to show. To be honest with you, I guess we have to see what the outcome is. If the Braves win the World Series, then maybe it's them. And if they just win the pennant and lose the World Series, kind of like how it was with the Mets, then I still think it's really close to call. But I'm going to explore more into that question. That is a good question, Trey. Even Martin agrees, yeah. Quentin, what's going on? Good to see you here. Quentin says, I could see Correa getting 10 years with $300 million. What do you think? I definitely think that's reasonable. Obviously, we know I was asked last stream, are the Astros going to keep Correa if they win the World Series? And regardless if the Astros win or lose the World Series, Correa is still leaving. Correa, we know he had like a 1-year deal, or no, not 1 year. It was like a 6-year deal, like 115 or something. And that's over. Correa, he's going to want the money. And the Astros, I unfortunately do not think the Astros could pay him. I think the Astros could pay him, 100 to maybe 170, but he doesn't want that. He's going to want more money. And I mean, let's look at Correa. Correa is a guy who really is going to get paid this offseason. I mean, I'm thinking, I agree with you. He's going to get that like Lindor, Tatis money. He's going to get a lot of money. I agree with you on that, man. He is going to get a lot of money. So let's go to Savant. So taking a look-see at Baseball Savant, I will share my screen with you guys, and we could explore his stats together. So yeah, obviously taking a little look-see at his stats. Look at this. We can see Correa is a guy who could hit really anything. Look at his defense, of course. We could see he is in the 97th percentile for OAA. He is a guy who will probably be on the market as a shortstop. He will be labeled a shortstop. That way you get more value out of a shortstop. However, he can play third base. He has the range. He has the cannon of an arm. He could easily throw a double play, turn a double play on second base to first base, 98 miles per hour. He has the cannon. He has the range. He has the accuracy. He has the speed on the left field side. He could do it. I mean, the sprint speed, whatever, I don't really care for that. Chase rate, we see he's not really chasing too much on crazy pitches. He'll hit some contact. He'll get some barrels. Won't strike out too much. He'll take some walks. When he hits the ball, he hits it well. He really goes for that launch angle mentality. Doesn't hit, a whole lot of ground balls, so you don't have to worry about double plays. I know that's something that a lot of Met fans, I'm sure, would definitely be nervous about because, who wants double plays? We already have enough with that from our catcher. So yeah, otherwise, looking at his hit spread chart, we can see he really hits the ball all over. He's obviously right-handed bat, so we could see most of his home runs go to the left side. So most of his power goes to the left side. However, he could easily hit opposite field. We see over here, he'll look for some light contact, dive in, some bloopers. So that's pretty good to see. Otherwise, he hits pretty well. Let's look. So we could see, honestly, he hits fastballs. Pretty much no one on this Mets team this past season was able to hit a fastball. So that is good to see that Correa can hit a fastball. Breaking pitches, okay, he has his fair share of complexities. He seems to be his put-away pitch. He'll make some okay contact on that, and the off-speed pitch he's pretty good with. So fastballs and off-speed pitches, that's good. Yeah. Otherwise, we could see he's a guy who really will hit the ball well, and he offers you a little bit of everything. He could definitely be a 5-tool player. Looking at this, all this is going up compared to the last following years, everything. Maybe the strikeouts are going up a little bit. First pitch swing, okay, so it's going down. So I guess that's good. Have some eye coordination at the plate. You really like to see that. So I'm all for it. I think Carlos Correa would definitely be a great asset to this team. And Quentin, I think he could easily get $300 million. Yes, I think he can get that or more. Ranting New York Rangers, what's going on, man? He says, what's up, buddy? Mets getting Correa. I've heard talk. Yeah, hopefully you did hear and see my little demonstration. I hope so. A lot of people would be on board with it. It's easy. Take Correa, you put him at third base. Boom, simple as that. But yeah, hopefully you did see my little PowerPoint presentation. Randolph, what's going on, man? Hope it's good to see you here. He says, what's Mets news? Nothing much. World Series, Mets are quiet. President of Baseball Operations have been having a lot of talk. Otherwise, Mets news have been pretty quiet. I'm looking at Twitter. It seems to be pretty quiet, which is good. We know the Arizona Fall Ball League is going into effect, and we see guys like Brett Beatty are really raking in it. So that is pretty good to see. Otherwise, that is it. In terms of Mets news, it's been pretty quiet. Front office has been very eventful, but player-wise, not so much. Who are the big free agents? I'm assuming is what that means, says Kobe. Yeah, we could explore some free agents. So let's look at it. 2022 free agents, MLB. We'll go to the free agent tracker, and I will share my screen. I don't like this. Stand by. Nope, that's 2020. Let's share this with you guys. All right. So this is what we see is what is going on. So these are the 25 biggest free agents on the market this offseason. This article was posted like 3 days ago. So we will see. So obviously the biggest guy on the free agent market is Carlos Correa. Obviously, like we said, health will be a big thing. And, he has had his setbacks in the past, 2018, 2019. But we will see if Correa can stay fine. He's been a rookie since 2015. Crazy to see. Wins above replacement. The WAR is really good. You could see 25.1% on FanGraphs. Just behind Lindor and Alexander Bogaerts in terms of shortstop. So that really goes to show you how great he is. And Correa, obviously, he's 27 years old. That is prime age. So yeah, we are going to see. Can the Mets go after Correa? I think there will be a lot of suitors for Correa. The Astros, unfortunately, are unable to pay him, so he will not be in the picture for the next season. It sucks, but hey, that's how baseball works, and we will see. The Mets will be going after him, in my opinion. A lot of teams, in my opinion. Mets, Tigers, Yankees, a lot of teams. Corey Seager. Okay, so we have another shortstop. Obviously, we know Corey Seager was injured for most of the season. They got Trey Turner at the trade deadline to fill in for that, and obviously Trey Turner has now been playing second base, and he's been having his fair share of struggles at second base, so obviously you would like Trey Turner, who is much better, in my opinion, to play shortstop, so I think they're going to, kick the dirt away with Corey Seager and say, sorry, dude, thanks for the memories. Trey Turner's our shortstop now. So Corey Seager, he is definitely most likely going to leave. So, a lot of infielders this free agency. Not many outfielders, which is the big thing. We have Chris Bryant on here. It makes sense. He is in San Francisco, in my opinion. I believe he is going to stay in San Francisco. So far, Chris Bryant is a dude who is on the Giants, and the Giants, they're a team that really has a lot of veterans. They don't have much of a young squadron. Not have much of a young squadron over there, so they're really going to want to try and get as many young guys as they can. And he's 30, so that's kind of, prime age right there that he could really burst out. If they were to give him anywhere from 6 to 7 years, I think that's pretty fine. Obviously, you have Max Scherzer, one of the best pitchers on the market. He was acquired from the Dodgers, 37 years old, so you got to be careful how much you give this dude and how long. Obviously, giving a contract to pitchers over the age of 30, in my opinion, even 35, is very risky. So we'll see what team will want to go after Scherzer. Of course, any team will. We know that he set the no-trade clause when he was rumored to go to the Mets, and he went to the Dodgers instead. But we'll see. Is that still the case for him? Maybe he can come to the Mets. We'll see. Dodgers definitely will want to have him back, but we'll see if he stays. Trevor Story is a guy who is likely going to opt out. It makes sense. I guess you'd rather trade him so you can get prospects. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, you want to get prospects. You don't want to just let him walk and get nothing for him. Overall, he's a guy, looking at this slash line, 253, 337, 506. After the All-Star break, that's pretty solid in my opinion. He has speed on the base pass. He plays above average defense. Listen, the whole Coors effect thing, I get it. We know that he could be, a lot of guys, said once as soon as they left Colorado, they weren't the same. Nolan Arenado, DJ LeMahieu, not so much DJ LeMahieu. He actually, in my opinion, became a better hitter. Not so much this year, but we'll see. So Trevor Story's going to be a big guy. Marcus Simeone, a guy who, was acquired on a one-year deal for the Blue Jays and completely bursted out. Taking a little look-see at Simeone. They put him at short. They took him from shortstop, put him as a second baseman, and he really thrived over there. 45 home runs and a 6.6 wins above replacement. That's astonishing. That's MVP caliber numbers right there. And we'll see. The Blue Jays are definitely going to have to wrap this guy up because you would have a mega infield right there with a great offensive lineup core. So we'll see. A lot of guys will be making deals for Marcus Simeone. Of course, you have the other Toronto Blue Jay, Robbie Ray, acquired. The 30-year-old will likely win Cy Young potentially. Had a great season. Of course, number 8, New York Met acquired Javier Baez. He will probably go on the market as a shortstop to get more value, get more money, but he is a second baseman if he stays with the Mets for the most part. And he's been a guy who really changed his season around. When he first came to the Mets for the first 2 weeks, he was being the typical Baez, but then we started seeing him hitting the ball the other way, hitting for some power. He had 9 home runs with the Mets. He hit for some power. His walk rate went up. His strikeout rate went down. He was starting to be a selective hitter. Crazy to think that with Javier Baez. He did really start, so good to see. Definitely, I think the Mets could definitely throw him an offer. Hopefully, he accepts it. Otherwise, a lot of teams will be on him. Number 9, I don't really think Freddie Freeman's going to go. I think he's going to stay with the Braves, whether they win the World Series or not. He's literally Mr. Brave. He is pretty much their franchise. He's been with them one of the longest. He's been with them during their highs and lows. He's going to stay. Braves are definitely going to give him an offer. Kevin Gausman, a guy who's been nice for the Giants, surprise pitcher, has a nice fastball, nice sinker. So we'll see what the Giants will get with Gausman. He's 31, so that comes into the age when you want to start to solidify stuff with the pitcher. Of course, at number 11, the other pitcher that I'm used to, Marcus Strowman, age 30. He signed a one-year deal with the Mets last offseason, and it was questionable. Now I think it comes to the uncertainty of Carlos Carrasco, Taijuan Walker, Can Tyler McGill and David Peterson pitch this many innings in the major league level? I think this puts more of interest to signing Marcus Strowman for the Mets. So he's 30 years old. Great glove at the pitcher's mound. Kind of upset he isn't a Gold Glove candidate, but we'll see. Like we said, his strikeout rate's going up. That sinker slider's been looking nice, walking a lot less guys. He's looking good. Starling Marte from the Oakland Athletics. He was traded to them. He's a guy who I easily would love to see play center field. He had like 45 stolen bases this season. Good to see, in 2021, it's kind of a dying thing, stealing bases. And even if next year, I don't think he'll have that many, in my opinion. But as a guy who could play great center field, you could shift him in the corners. He could hit, not so much for power, but he'll have a high on base percentage, high average, some speed on the base paths, above average defense in the outfield. Nicolas Castellanos is a guy that I'm kind of questionable with. Only if you get a DH, I would want him. He's in, I think his outs above average is like a single number. So that's not too good. And obviously his defensive run saved is in the negative. So you don't really want that for an outfielder, but he's a guy who will definitely most likely opt out of his contract. He's going to want to get some bucks this offseason. It's just going to come down to, really, we'll see. Kyle Schwarber, it's questionable if he's going to stay with the Red Sox. I think he will. He really doesn't have a position to play unless it's the DH. So maybe if they don't bring back JD Martinez, then he's your full-time DH. But then that'd be kind of stupid not to bring back JD Martinez if you're the Red Sox. Schwarber, like we said, he's not the best defender. We saw him in right field, had some issues. He didn't really look too good at first base. But he'll hit for some insane power. He's striking out less. He's hitting for some more contact. He's going to be a guy to pick up. Carlos Rodon, obviously. Noah Syndergaard. Syndergaard is a guy who you definitely do want to keep. Syndergaard, I feel we work with Syndergaard so much. Why let him go? That's the thing with Syndergaard is, you really work this much with Syndergaard, so why would you let him go? Mets said they're going to give him the qualifying offer, and he is going to accept it. So I like to see that. That's really good to see that he's going to accept the qualifying offer. I'm glad. It's good to see. Justin Verlander, 39 years old, kind of a fine wine. He had Tommy John surgery, so it's questionable where he's going to want to stay. I could easily see him staying with Houston for like another 1-year deal maybe, or I can honestly see him going to Detroit. He would be a great candidate in Detroit. He started his major league career there, and then obviously you have AJ Hinch, the manager on his second major league team. Honestly, he's a veteran pitcher, and obviously Detroit has a lot of rookies. Casey Mize, Manning, Turnbull. He could really be a good coach for those guys, and I think that would work extremely well in my eyes. Clayton Kershaw, JD Martinez, and of course Michael Conforto, who's a whole other story. Brandon Belt, Chris Taylor, Anthony Rizzo, Nelson Cruz, and of course Raisel Iglesias, who interesting choice. The pitcher, definitely completely underrated in my eyes. So yeah. So those are some of the free agents. Just wanted to touch on those. Hopefully you did enjoy that, Kobe. Obtuse Juice says, what's going on, dude? Appreciate you tuning in. He says, what do you think of having Solaire instead of Peterson against a right-handed starter? Lost faith in Peterson or confidence in Solaire? Normally Snit plays the matchup. Yeah, I don't know if you heard when I was talking about that before, but when we were looking at the lineup, it really comes into question is, do you play a guy, Jorge Solaire, who can prove himself against the starter? Obviously, Snicker, he's a guy who I'm guessing wanted to go for that righty-on-righty matchup, so that's why you don't put in Peterson. It makes sense. But obviously, like I said, in the World Series, you really can't take these chances. I guess you gotta go with there's no expected, analytics or something to look at, but you can't look at, expected stats and expected analytics in the World Series. You got to look at what you are getting, the results you are getting. And so far, Jorge Solaire has been giving you the results you have wanted. Peterson, he's supposed to, but that's the thing. It makes sense. Righty on righty matchup. I get it. Trey says, left you a like. Appreciate it, dude. We'll have no problem learning about the Mets offseason. Thank you, bro, of course. Appreciate it. What are your thoughts on Javier Baez, who's close to an extension in the early offseason? Yeah. I mean, obviously, I've talked about Baez a lot on this channel. He's a dude. Hopefully, you heard my demonstration before about him. I easily hope he can resign. We'll see. Hopefully, he can get anywhere from a 5, 6, 7-year deal. And I would have no problem giving him 150 to 175 million. You could play him at second base, maybe put him at third base, put McNeil back at second base. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but then that means you don't go after Correa. So I don't know. It's going to be a long offseason, but I'm definitely down to extending Baez. They do deserve it. Carlos Correa and Starling Marte would be more realistic. That would add 2 high average OPS, wins above replacement players to the Mets roster. Correa has the experience plus leadership, which would be great for the Mets. You summed it up there, dude. You summed it up. I agree. Those are 2 guys that I definitely have stated in my past streams that I would like the Mets to pursue. Quentin says, I heard Correa say he likes pinstripes. I'm pretty sure he isn't talking about the Yankees. That'd be funny because they booed him. You never know. Padres, Rockies. Yes, I do, GJ. I do. Should the Mets sign Aaron Loop? Yes, 100%. He's an easy signing. You can get him done quickly throughout the offseason. It's a guy, nice fastball, nice cutter. He's been put in every single situation for the Mets. Bases loaded, 3-0 count. He got out of it unscathed. Completely great guy, underrated, put up Cy Young numbers this season. Definitely could be a reliever of the year. The only thing is the innings pitched are not up there, but that's not his fault. Luis Rojas, he was a guy who used them as a guy who would be a put-away pitcher instead of going a full inning. So more so Luis Rojas' fault that Loop's numbers aren't up there. But, Loop, he did get overtaxed this season a lot. He was put in situations where he was, pitching back-to-back games. And he didn't really give up damage. He gave up 1 long ball this season, and it was a home run to Juan Soto. So he's doing a good job keeping the ball in the park, striking out guys. The submarine guy, I think he could stay. Merlin, what's going on? What were your reactions when Frank said I was true about Bob Melvin? I know. I saw your comment. You broke the news to us. It's something, all right. It sucks to hear, but it made sense. Bringing Correa, I agree. Obtuse Juice says, not sure how we got through the playoffs with no fans last year. Atlanta's going to be electric tonight. It is. It's going to be a great game. I will be tuning into that. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a great game in Atlanta. Like we said, the Braves are 5-0 this postseason so far this season at home. So we will see. Can they keep that streak going? It's going to be something we're going to have to see. Atlanta Braves, like we said, 5-0. We'll see. Can they keep the life up? We will see. But yeah, otherwise, if you guys have any more final comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to drop them in the comment section below. Like we said, a lot is going on in baseball world right now. Obviously, the offseason is almost coming. We know there's a lot of talk going on with the Mets front office. That has been discussed quite a lot these last couple of days. It's been frustrating, and I get it. But you know what? Listen, the offseason hasn't even started yet. Let's not work ourselves up. And I don't want to work ourselves up. The offseason hasn't even started yet. So don't work ourselves up yet. Listen, obviously you want to get a guy in pretty much. You pretty much want to get a guy in once the World Series ends, because pretty much once that happens, once the World Series ends, that's when a lot of pretty much you could start making moves to an extent. I think it's, like a week. I want to say it's like a week after the World Series ends where they have something where a lot of guys start. And then the winter meetings, which are, way back in, which are way down the line in like early December. But that's going to be something else. So we're going to see. I think that will be interesting. So all we can do is wait and see. Otherwise, I think it's going to be interesting. Baseball's mayor, I appreciate the kind words. Definitely means a lot. Definitely want to keep these more streams up during the offseason. I know November, it's going to be a little quiet for the weeks following the World Series. There's not much going to be going on, but I will be doing these weekly live streams. Maybe I'll have you guys more Q&As. I like doing that. Those are pretty cool. You guys definitely had a lot of good questions when I did a Q&A. I want to say I did one at least a week or two ago, and you guys were very good with that. So I definitely would have no problem doing those again. I know it's a little quiet now. It's a Friday night. Everyone's going out. I get it. But yeah. Hot take, Mets won't get president of baseball operations, buy or sell. You have Sandy Alderson, so I could see why you would say buy or sell. Knowing the Mets, I'm probably going to say buy, but realistically, I'm going to have to sell that. I think they're going to get someone. Likely what I think is going to happen, as well as a lot of other people, is I think Sandy Alderson is going to stay with the organization, but not as the current role as he is. I could see him doing something in the scouting department, the development department, with some prospects, maybe scouting guys for prospects. I can't see the Mets not getting anyone. So we'll see. Otherwise, we'll probably wrap this stream up. I appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream as always. Please, everyone, turn on those post notifications if you can. Smash that like button if you are here. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, the bell, all that great stuff. Tell your friends about this channel. If you have to make an account for your dog, go ahead. Otherwise, please feel free to follow me on my social medias if you guys would like to. It would mean a lot. You could follow me on Twitter at Mets Hayden if you guys would like to speak baseball there with me. We can talk baseball all day. Otherwise, that's the best option to message me. If you want to message me on Instagram, I guess that's more like personal stuff. But if you want to talk, we can. I definitely am pretty active on there. That's usually Twitter is usually where I announce when I am going to stream whenever I upload a new video. I do just want to see if you guys have that option. Talk baseball, all that great stuff. Otherwise, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Game 3 of the World Series is tonight in Atlanta. It's going to be a really good matchup. I'm excited. Game 3 of this World Series. Garcia versus Anderson on the bump. First pitch starts at 8:09 Eastern Standard Time on Fox at Truist Park. We will see who wins this game. Will the Houston Astros win back-to-back games, or will the Braves start something off? They have the energy, they have the morale of the fans. So we will see. It's going to be something. But otherwise, appreciate everyone for tuning in. As always, let's go Mets, let's go Braves, or let's go Astros, whoever you're rooting for. Till next time, baseball fans, see ya.